You're on the way. Okay, guys, we actually, I don't know if anybody noticed, we are live on air. Okay, guys, who just joined us, we just started, well, we haven't started really yet. We, as usual, will have a little chat before we really we will go. Okay, I'll just introduce. So I'll start unusual way. I usually I do it as Google tell me from left to right, but now I start with a Stoney deGeyter, who is guest guest speaker and a star speaker today. How are you doing, Stoney, today?
I'm doing great. I hope everybody else is doing good too. Looking forward to a nice weekend.
Yeah, everybody's looking for a weekend, but still we have to do this webinar and a couple of more things. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, we have guests. First guest. Well, first I will introduce is Musa Hemani. He's been here before, and somebody who's watching us regularly, seen him. He is a founder of CTalk blog, and he is SEO consultant, SEO blogger, SEO everything from Pakistan. SEO everything from Pakistan. He published articles in many places. Most recent, I remember e-commerce on Most was a couple of weeks ago. We have a new guest who's just joined us. Or we know her very well. She's done a webinar with us. Hi Jenny, how are you doing?
Hi Anton, it's good to see you.
Okay, Jenny Haas, she's SEO consultant from United States. Jenny, what part of I forgot. I'm sorry. Could you remind us what part of United States is it?
I'm from the eastern U.S. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, great. So Jenny Haas. We have SEO consultant David Sois from London, based in London, original London, England.
That's the one.
Yeah, and we have Alexandra Vasilyeva. She's from Startup. She will tell us later. Stopvisor, SEO, another SEO tool. Well, I don't know much about it, but she obviously does. Guys, you don't have to, and please don't really mute your microphones. If you can have little bit of chatting, I don't know. Stoney, I've seen this article. It's been published 11th of September. Did you do it on purpose?
No, I didn't handle the scheduling on that. I just give them articles and they put them out when they see fit.
Yeah, okay. But it was about half an hour, half a year ago. I guess would be something new. Yeah, new tricks and some more tactics get obsolete.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of take you through some techniques that we shouldn't necessarily be doing anymore, but that used to work. So I'll kind of walk through that process a little bit.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I've been doing a lot of webinars, and actually there is no particular one opinion who say, well, this here, this is definitely won't work. This is real, especially about links. A lot of talk about links. I'm pretty sure you will be talking about this. Musa, what do you think about links? Are backlinks still important?
I mean, definitely backlinks are important. It depends. You know, when back in the old days when you were doing the blog commenting in the forums, it used to work. But today, if you do it, I guess we're gonna work the other way around. Well, might damage your reputation, might damage your rankings as well. So I guess from time to time, things are really changing, and I guess that's the reason why we're here to figure out the things that used to work in the past aren't really working anymore.
Yeah, Jenny, you muted.
I don't know that I have anything to add to that. I think Stoney covered it pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. David.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the whole idea of the link building side has just got a lot smarter. What used to be a very easy way of gathering those links in, point them to the website, and it all worked. That's just not the case anymore. You need the relevance in those links, the authority as well.
Yeah, okay. Alexander, do you have any opinion on it?
Yeah, sure. We're just doing right now, we just launched globally, and so link building is one of the most important things for us right now. So we just need to catch all the trends and do it as actively as possible. So I think that I'll find a lot of interesting ideas right now during this podcast.
It's not exactly a podcast, but never mind. Stoney, could you just who's just joined us? We still wait for a couple of more minutes before we will let you. Could you give us another idea on maybe another topic? I'll ask everyone. So what's another obsolete or non-obsolete tactics? Because link buildings is everyone talks about link buildings. For example, I'll talk to Ren Fishkin and say, well, link building probably won't work, maybe in a niche. And I had a conversation. We had a conversation with Google, and Google said link one of the first 3 ranking factor. Google, and after that we talked to John Miller. Said we shouldn't say that because next day after that. Some spammy companies that send millions pounds. Oh, Google said links are important. Buy links from us. Okay, link building is very controversial thing. What else you'll be talking about?
Well, obviously I don't want to give the whole presentation before I start it, but one of the things that is very interesting is that there's so much of what we do in SEO that is obsolete, of what we used to do is obsolete. But at the same time, is that the national anthem?
Not national anthem. It's a Hungarian dance by Brahms. Yeah, it's a ringtone on a telephone. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
We don't have Hungarians here, do we?
What I was saying is that there's so much of what we used to do in SEO that's obsolete, but at the same time, there's elements of it that are still valuable. And I am going to talk about that, where even though pieces of what we used to do is obsolete, there's still ways to win. And using those techniques, even link building, there used to be bad link building, and now there's good link building. So it's real interesting just to see how things change and morph over time from one particular tactic to another without actually necessarily negating anything entirely.
Okay, guys, if nobody wants to say anything before, okay, I guess we just proceed with the presentation. Okay, Stoney, it's all yours. Just go ahead.
All right, let me make sure I get the screen share done right here.
This is the most difficult part for a speaker.
Oh, yeah, totally. I keep hitting the button and it's going away. All right, there we go. Now, is it shared?
Not yet.
No.
It's not shared. I went through a run-through on this yesterday and it seemed to work just fine.
Yesterday was very easy.
How about now?
No.
Nope.
There we go. How
Yes.
about now?
Yes.
There we go. Let me put the presentation up and hit the right button for that. And tell me if you got a full screen presentation. Okay, all right. Well, glad to have everybody here. So we're going to just kind of run through 5 things that are valuable part of SEO, things that we used to do that we shouldn't necessarily be doing today, at least in the form that we used to do it. So before I begin, I just want to tell you a little bit about me. My name is Stoney deGeyter. I've been doing web presence optimization since 1998. And I call it web presence optimization because it's not just SEO or social media or link building or anything else like that. It's pretty much everything. And everything web marketing comes back to building that web presence. You can connect with me there. I did write a book called The Best Damn Web Marketing Checklist that you can find on Amazon. And a couple other online iTunes and Barnes & Noble. And of course, that's my company, Pole Position Marketing. In case you have any questions, want consulting or full-scale web marketing. All right, so let's get into this. Here are the 5 things: keyword stuffing, link buying, anchor text over optimization, link sculpting, and creating thin content. These are all things that we should not be doing anymore. But all of these pieces of all of these are still relevant for search engine optimization today. And I'm going to kind of walk through that and give you a sense of what we used to do, why it was valuable, why it's no longer valuable, and what we can do to turn it into something valuable going forward with your optimization. But on the surface, if you're doing these things, you need to stop. That's just all bad. But let's go ahead and get into this, and we'll start with keyword stuffing here. This is something, what is it? Keyword stuffing is basically when you take a bit of content and you say, here's the keyword, and we're going to try and put that keyword in there as much as humanly possible. And for many years, this is what SEO was. It was taking keywords, shoving it into content, taking keywords, shoving it into content. Now, the good SEOs were ones that were able to do it without it sounding like you were shoving keywords into content. And they got better and better at it and just repeating keywords lightly. But really, that is a strategy we don't even want to think about anymore. It's not so much about keywords and content, but it's about manipulating the content in a way that's good for the user. But let's talk about a little bit why it works so well. Basically, keywords, that's what algorithms read. They look at content, they look for topics, they look for things in the content that tell them what this content is about. And initially, and a lot of us already know this, is that when a single word or a phrase came up over and over and over again within the content, and the search engines go, okay, so this piece of content is about snow skis. I get that. Now, the search engines have gotten a lot better about that, and, and again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. They've gotten better about that, but what's going to happen is if you do that kind of keyword stuffing today, it will come back to bite you. And recently, Google, released it. Well, not recently so much, about 2-3 years ago, I guess now. Google released the Hummingbird algorithm, which changed the focus away from keywords being the focus of our content to looking at the overall topic. And that's where we talk about keyword stuffing and even keyword optimization. It's not so much about optimizing for keywords anymore. It's about optimizing for the topics. And so what we have to do now is focus on what is it that the visitor wants to know. Do they just want to know more about snow skis and snow skis this and snow skis that? Or do we want to create content that really does a better job of giving everybody a broader spectrum of information regarding snow skis? So, and a lot of this comes back to what other words are relevant to the topic. It's not just snow skis per se, but it's a lot of other words. It's snow and powder and downhill and slopes and things like that. So Google, using the Hummingbird algorithm, has gotten better at going, hey, let's tie some of these concepts together, and so we can understand the bigger picture. And if they see an article that's just using a keyword over and over again, but it doesn't have some of these other related words, then they're going to assume it's not as relevant. So you can pack as many keywords into content as you want, but the search engines understand that in order for you to rank for those keywords, there's going to have to be a whole lot of other phrases in there that are highly relevant to the topic. So again, we want to focus on a topic rather than specific keywords. And now a topic can be very broad. Snow could be a topic. That's pretty broad. But then again, you can start narrowing down those topics into, specific things about snow, whether it be, downhill snow skiing or snow boots. Snow isn't really the topic necessarily, or even if it is, you want to find things within that topic, how snow is created, how snow falls, all of that kind of stuff, to really build out different types of content for searchers. And then, as I mentioned already, you want to integrate topically related keywords. And we do a lot of related keyword research, not just keyword research for what are people searching for, but then tying in related words to those phrases. So we have a bigger picture and a bigger understanding of how to build out our content to really fulfill the topic that we're trying to reach. And it gives you a lot of ideas. When you look at some of these related words, it gives you ideas which direction to take your content and what kind of things you do want to talk about that's going to be relevant for your audience. And you want to go beyond, just the written word. Add images, add additional media to your content, videos, things like that. It's not just about optimizing words on a page, but it's about optimizing the experience of the visitor on the site. And make sure you master the message. And for me, what I mean by that is every page has to have a goal, and the content of that page must fit that goal. And a lot of times we look at pages on a website going, okay, this page is about skis because I want to sell snow skis. So we throw some content in there that's, hey, about our skis. But what's really the goal? The goal is to get your visitors to engage and then move further down and then begin researching the skis and clicking on products and looking at things. So you want to make sure that every page has a goal and that the content of the page fits within that goal. Don't add a video if it doesn't help achieve the goal. Don't add multimedia if it doesn't achieve the goal. Don't add text if it doesn't help achieve the goal. And then look for ways to add supporting content. And that is, linking out to other websites or other pages on your own site. Don't just keep a page self-contained. While every page needs to have a primary goal, there should also be, one or two secondary goals that go to supporting content. Somebody's looking at a product that you're offering. Maybe they're not ready to buy. Maybe they want to go and see what your shipping policies are. Or maybe they want to look at your quality control claims and things like that. So that's the type of supporting content that can really help with providing that visitor experience and the value in that experience. All right, so next, we talked about link buying a little bit. Let's dig into that. What is it? Link buying in the past, people would go and call a link broker or work a deal with a site and say, hey, and I remember being at a conference and somebody said, I just got 10,000 links to my website. And it's like, holy cow, that's a lot of links. And that was because the links were part of the algorithm, and then we looked at page rank and going, well, what's the page rank of these links to determine what value they are? So it's just a matter of paying money to buy a link. Now, link buying doesn't have to be en masse. It can be a one-on-one. Say, hey, I'm going to give you $200 for one link. And this is a strategy that we should really no longer be employing as part of our online marketing strategies. Why it worked, every link was a vote, and every vote added to your site authority. Every vote added and gave value to the site according to the algorithms. So the search engines were essentially counting votes, and of course over the years they got better and better at this, and they determined, well, a vote from this page is worth more than a vote for this page. But in the big picture, whoever has the most votes or the most valuable votes, they win. So that's where the game of link building came into play, and it's like, let's just buy links. Let's get as many links as we can as fast as possible, and that moved you up in the search engine rankings. But today, we know the Penguin algorithm and the many updates that have happened since then have focused quite a bit on unnatural linking. And so the search engine now are going, hey, you know what, we can see that you just bought 10,000 links. So we're going to penalize for that. And that penalty may be an actual penalty on your site, or it just may be a devaluing of those links, so essentially they are nothing more than wasted money. Either way, you don't want to be in that position of being tagged as a site that buys these links or gets these unnatural links. So you want to avoid that, and basically they want to make sure that links are inherited properly. They're inherited through proper channels, and I should actually use the word earned here, because they want to make sure that links are earned. And that's where the value is in the algorithm. And any link that they don't believe is earned, any link that there's a quid pro quo, then the search engines are going to look at that and say, this is not a valuable link. And you do too much of that, and ultimately it's going to come back and hurt you a little bit, whether you get a penalty or you just get no value out of that. So does that mean link building is not valuable? Absolutely not. I talked about earning links. Definitely important there. So how do we do that? One, you get worthwhile content, and you engage in social promotion. Social media is a great way to earn valuable links, and again, it comes back to having that worthwhile content. You have to have content worth linking to. When you do pay for links, you need to use the nofollow tag. And that basically just tells the search engines, don't count this link in the algorithm. But that doesn't mean you can't ever buy a link. If you say, hey, you know what, I want to be on this site because I know they're going to send traffic to my visitors, or they're going to send visitors to my website, then maybe there is value in paying for that link. You just don't want the search engines to count that link as part of the algorithm, so you use the nofollow tag. And then, you want to share the love, which means linking to other people. If you want to get links to you, you need to link to somebody else. If you want people to promote you, you've got to be promoting them. Look for ways to promote valuable information regardless of who wrote it. And this is where, sometimes you're helping your competitors. If they've got something of value, you socialize it, you spread the word, you point people to it, you say, hey, this is some good content. So you want to just be able to share the love very freely, because it will come back to you. The more value you share, the more people will share the value that you provide as well. All right, next step here, anchor text optimization. And this isn't something that's completely dead, but there is some very strong negatives to it. But what is it? Basically, every link, there is words that are the hyperlinked words that you click on to get to that next page. That's the anchor text. And optimizing those anchor texts is where you go through and say, I'm going to put my keywords in this. And where it became a problem is people use the same anchor text for dozens and hundreds and maybe even thousands of links in order to say, hey, search engines, look at this anchor text pointing to this page. That tells you that that page is about whatever that anchor text is. So we were trying to manipulate, SEOs were trying to manipulate the algorithm. And so where that went bad, obviously, is where the search engines came and said, yeah, you're manipulating us in ways that we don't want to affect the algorithm. Anchor text can still be valuable in providing a signal about the page, but as anything good with SEO, at some point it gets abused. So the search engines kind of put a stop to that. What you're seeing on the screen here, just kind of a side note, it was an article that I wrote, and when I initially wrote it, this was probably 10, maybe 15 years ago, every word on the page was linked to somewhere else. And then, of course, over the years, we've kept the page up on our site and our blog. It's still there, and over the years, you see that some of these sites aren't there anymore, so we've just been delinking them rather than trying to find new links for them, whatever. It was just an interesting exercise of basically anchor text optimization and overlinking and things like that, kind of a fun experiment. But search engines, they don't want to see you using anchor text in links too often. Doesn't mean it's bad, it doesn't mean it's terrible, but if you're doing it throughout your site consistently, every page, I'm going to link in the content to this other page using this keyword in hopes to boost the rankings. You can get away with it 1 or 2 times, but ultimately, the search engines look at it as spam. You are adding spammy signals, manipulative signals into your content by trying to, use anchor text. So what do? Well, you change it up a little bit, Anchor text is still a signal to the search engines. It does tell them what that next page is about. And you definitely want to use keywords in your navigation and your breadcrumbs. I mean, that is one of the key places to use keywords in anchor text on your site. That is the most acceptable way to do it. But you can also do it within your text, but do it naturally. Don't look for ways to overemphasize, certain pages using the same anchor text over and over and over again. And even with link building, if you get links and you say, I want to target this keyword, you want to make sure that the anchor text gets varied up a little bit, that you don't use the same exact anchor text over and over again. So, you want to make sure that you don't have that unnatural surge of links. Especially if you got new content and you put it out there or rather old content. Say you've got, a blog post that's been up there for a month, and you go, you know what, I want to get a bunch of traffic to this blog post. I want it to rank well. So you go out and you do a bunch of link building. It gets a bunch of links. Now search engines are going to look at that and say, well, why? Why did that suddenly get a bunch of links? Maybe there's some artificial manipulation going on. And maybe not. That's not always the case, but you want to try and avoid anything that looks unnatural and doesn't appear as, it's normal. With social media, that type of thing can happen. You can write an article, and 2 weeks later, somebody notices it on a high-profile site, they link to it, and then, you get a bunch of links. But if you don't routinely get that kind of thing, you want to be careful about it. And as I said, don't use exact anchor text over and over and over again. You want to switch it up a little bit. Link sculpting. This came in after Google introduced the no-follow tag. People started going, hey, I want to tell the search engines how to guide their way through the site and which links to value, which links not. Now, I don't know if anybody knows what this is on the screen right now. That is a flow meter. And what a flow meter does, we have a client who actually manufactures these. A flow meter basically measures the amount of air, gas, or liquid going through pipes, and in many cases will adjust the rate at which that gas, liquid, or air can pass through. Think of it as a faucet valve. You turn it on a little bit, you get a little water coming out. You turn it on more, you get a lot coming out. That's what link sculpting attempted to do, is where it was trying to take the flow of link, the value of the link according to the algorithms, and start restricting it and saying, well, I don't want the search engines to count this link, but I want them to count this link. And so that was just a way to artificially manipulate the links on your site and determine which pages get value through those links. So why it worked, let's explain this a little bit. Let's just, for simplicity's sake, let's say every page has a certain value. In this case, we're going to go with a value of 100. And every link on that page passes some of that value to those other pages. So we're going to say this page has 2 links, and therefore each of those links passes a value, half of its value, to the 2 pages that they're linking to. So the 100 value page gives 50 of value to one page and 50 value to another page. And of course, if those pages have other links coming to them, they'll be getting value from those pages as well. And again, this is all for simplicity's sake. This is not exactly how it works, but just to give you a general picture. So where link sculpting comes in is you attach that no follow, and that says, hey Google, don't follow this link, don't pass value through this link, don't assign anything. So you take that 100, and now all of that 100 goes through the other link, and it goes to that page. So you're saying, I don't want to value this page here that now has a 0 on it. I want value going to this other page. So the nofollow is a way to kind of manipulate that a little bit. Problem is, it didn't work, or it did for a little bit, and then the search engines started kind of tweaking things and going, look, this is going to hurt you. So instead of it saying, hey, we're going to pass 100% of the link value, what it did is the nofollow actually just, it absorbed the value that was being passed. Instead of blocking it and rerouting it through the other links, it absorbed it. So now you've got that page where now you still only got 50, a value of 50 going out per link. Well, it goes out the one, but it doesn't go out the other. So essentially the nofollow hurts more than it actually helps, especially if these are 2 pages on your existing site. So you're saying you're only getting 50 to one page and you're getting 0 to the other. You're losing the 100 no matter what. So this is where link sculpting is all bad and does more harm than it does good when you're trying to manipulate the algorithms in that way. So we don't get that. We get it the other way. So how do you kill it, link architecture? And again, I changed the concept here from link sculpting to link architecture, because it really is an architectural issue where you have to build the site from the ground up to link the way you want it to link, which means you start with a navigation that says, hey, these are my most important pages, and in this case it'd be the top level blue pages. These are our 3 most important pages. And then under each of those, there's a number of pages that are valuable, subpages and sub-subpages, things like that. But it starts with that navigation and building the navigation properly. And basically what you're saying is, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to link to this page, but I don't want the search engines to follow the link, you build the navigation to pass the value through those pages the way you want. And where a lot of people go wrong here is they build a navigation that links to every page on the site, the mega menus. And every option on the site is available on that menu, so every page links to every page. Now, that is not good link sculpting, or it's not good link architecture, because it's just passing all the value to every page, and every page is equal, and really every page isn't. So what you want is every section of your site to be self-contained. So all of these red pages, essentially, under each of these blue headings, those all interlink with each other, but they don't interlink with the other pages in the other sections. Everything goes back through the blue sections up top, and I hope that's making sense. You just want to make sure you're siloing your architecture with the links quite a bit. We also have a tool that we created called WP Function Links. And what that tool does is it uses some JavaScript and encoding to basically act how people wanted the nofollow to act back in the day when there was link sculpting. Now, this, like any tool, can be abused, but the purpose that we built this for was to account for specific functions that you don't necessarily, link to. Things like, hey, I want to sort the products on the page. Well, a lot of times that's just a link that passes value back to the page itself, essentially. But every time there is a link, it loses some of that value. And you don't want to do that with everything, because they're not actually pages. So we're not using this tool to say, hey, don't pass value to this page. We're saying, hey, that's a function. That's something that we don't need value going to. I'm adding a product to a cart. There's no value in the add to cart page, or I'm filtering, or I'm emailing, setting up an email link. So there's a number of website functions that you really just don't want to pass links to, and you're not cheating the system in a sense, because those aren't pages that you're trying to redirect links to. Those are actually functions that don't really have value in a link sort of sense, or even for the search engines to count that. So it's a good tool to use. I suggest you try it, check it out a little bit. And I think we're getting close to the end here. Thin content. This is the last thing here, I believe. What is it? Thin content is basically when people create a bunch of pages of content just to target a small variation of a keyword. And here we have, auto insurance in Boston, auto insurance LA, auto insurance Dallas, auto insurance Houston. I'm sure we've all seen that. It's the same content over and over and over again. They just swap the city name. And, everything stays the same but the city, and they're trying to rank for that city on that page. The search engines consider that thin content, because really these pages don't provide unique value to the visitor. If they do go from one page to the next, there's nothing there that's valuable on the next page than what they already got on the first one. And why it killed is because Google made a big deal about content being valuable, and everybody jumped on the content bandwagon and said, hey, we got to do this content, we got to do content. And so they did, and they just mass-produced content. Every keyword possible that they could try to rank for, and it'd just be 2-paragraph articles, and people just weren't getting any value out of that. And so Google came in and with the Panda algorithm, and they changed everything and said, look, we're not going to accept this thin content anymore. We want all content to be valuable. If you have thin content, we're going to throw it out of the database. So really, that did away with keyword optimization and moved us into the age of topical optimization, where we're not so focused on keywords anymore. And I talked about this in the keyword stuffing section, is we're not focused on keywords as much as we are on providing value with the topics. So if you are doing this thin content and producing mass-generated pages just to rank, that's ultimately not going to help you anymore. But we can kill content marketing today, and as many of you know, content marketing is really becoming a significant factor in web marketing and even achieving search engine rankings to have a solid web marketing plan. You focus on quality. Everything comes back to that. You have to have quality content. If you're just putting stuff out there for the sake of, you know, I got a deadline, I got to get a blog post up, don't do it. Make sure everything has value and everything is of quality. And finally, you know, you want to build authority. You're using content to showcase what you know and basically telling the world, hey, you know what, I'm an authority on this topic. Now, if you're putting out, you know, thin content or content that just doesn't have a whole lot of value, you're going to have a hard time building authority. However, if you focus on authority and really showcasing what you know, then you're going to make sure every piece of content is going to be good, and every piece of content is going to come back to you, and you know, people are going to say, hey, you know what, that guy knows what he's talking about. You know, and really it all comes down to how do we kill at web marketing? Because that's the goal, right? We're not looking at specific strategies or specific tactics. All of those things have merit. There's things that we do, things that we don't do. But we really want to focus on web marketing, and it all comes back to the customer. It comes back to the visitor, the people that we are trying to reach on our website. You know, we want to make sure that we're providing value for them. If we're just doing things for search engines, then we're probably doing it wrong. We want to make sure everything we do is valuable to the audience that we're trying to reach. And that wraps it up for me. I appreciate the time. There's where you can go and check out the book if you want to, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to take those.
Can I go first?
Yeah. Okay. Anyone has a question? Musa, do you have anyone? Just I'm not going to moderate anything. If you have a question, just switch on your microphone and shoot. Okay. Can
I go first? Okay. So you talked about, you know, anchor text optimization, and you know, when you're putting the same keyword and getting the links from different websites using the same keyword again and again, that's probably going to hurt you. The first part of the question is, what if somebody's doing it for the brand name? So for example, abc.com is my brand name, and I'm getting the links from different websites using my brand name. So I guess that's, even if I run the, you know, some kind of campaign, we're going to work out that with people naturally linking back to me with brand name, right? So yeah, how does Google treat that?
You see that a lot with press releases and things like that, there's probably some wiggle room there when you're talking about brand names. At the same time, you know, there's a point of excess. There's a point where you've crossed that line from this sounds natural and reads well to I'm just trying to brand myself in a way that it just doesn't work. And one of the rules of thumb is read the content out loud, and if it doesn't sound natural, then you need to make some changes to that. So even with branding, I mean, I'd be careful. You know, there's nothing wrong with getting your brand name in there, you know, as often as makes sense, but you know, don't go overboard in that.
So the next part of the question is, what if the brand name is something that is very much attached to the keyword? Let's say sometimes there are people who have the brand names or the website names like, you know, maybe, you know, law firm or something that is, the keyword is attached to the brand name somewhere.
Yeah, well, one thing to remember is Google has a pretty good idea of what your brand name is. You know, you don't have to repeat it over and over again. That's some of the easiest things to rank for is brand names. So you don't have to repeat it over and over for search engines, and you probably don't have to repeat it over and over for visitors. If your keyword is in the brand name, I would be extra careful, though, so it doesn't look like you're trying to artificially manipulate what's going on.
I would say it just has a lot to do with what type of links you're generating. If it's, you know, crappy press releases as opposed to just like one press release when you have something important and that links to your brand name, that's totally fine. But if you're putting out a press release about the fact that you got up today and made a sandwich, then it's not natural.
I mean, most of the times it happens when you're working, when I used to work for brands in-house, like the people who operate in Pakistan only. So the problem with most of them is they're running the campaign and there are very few online shops available. The scene of online shopping is very new here and there are very few websites available. So whenever they run a campaign, it goes like super viral and people are naturally talking about it. And when they're linking back to the website, that's usually a brand name. That includes a keyword as well. So it's uncontrollable.
Well, and I mean, I think that's totally reasonable. And also, if you're talking about local search, you're thinking about citation links and the fact that you need all of those to match up exactly. You're naturally going to have more anchor text with that brand name in it. I think where you're going to run into trouble is if your brand is Web Promo Expert, but you're trying to brand yourself as Web Marketing Expert for promos, you know?
I get your point. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, Stoney, can I have a license to ask stupid questions? Yeah, you're all experts. I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Everyone says, well, you have to really deliver value to customer, so you have to write not for machine, for customer. So should we just forget all these bloody SEO things? Just forget all the optimization. Just write good stuff. Just upload it, and that's it. Don't worry about anything. Okay, speed of the page. I understand. Yeah, it's important. If I have to wait more than, I don't know, 30 seconds, I wouldn't be bothered. But rest away, should we still do SEO or just writing good stuff?
Most of SEO that we do for search engines can also be valuable to the visitor and the customer and everything like that. There are a few things where the search engines, we have to do it specific for them. We're talking like adding schema code to your website. That's pretty much for the search engines, but at the same time, we do that because they're doing things with the schema code that is going to benefit our visitors or the searchers looking for information. So for the most part, if it's good for people, it's good for search engines. And if we're doing it right, if we're not doing it just for search engines, we keep the idea of, what's my visitor going to get out of this? But there are a lot of things, that do have to be done that maybe the visitor doesn't know, they don't recognize, but it becomes a factor. Site speed is one of those. If your site is slow, we don't speed it up for the search engines, we speed it up for the visitor. And they're the ones that pushed us into that. The search engines are the ones who said, look, we want to deliver fast sites to our searchers. So we said, oh, okay, so site speed does matter now. Well, it really always mattered. We just weren't paying attention, and the search engines forced us to pay attention. So there's a lot of that with SEO and optimization. Very little that we do has zero to do with the visitor.
Okay, guys, anyone else? I'll check if we have a audience question. No, I can't see any audience who's watching us. Yeah, if you have a question, you should know. Okay. I don't know.
I think I have a question actually. Do you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I just lost the connection for a while. Well, we build the tools, and so it's actually everything about tools for us. So, do you believe there are going to be any tools for topic optimization, to automate the whole process? Because as far as I understand, it's going to take lots of time, lots of effort. We have an idea here, we're building something like that, but I just want to know your opinion.
Tools for topical optimization, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
We use a number of different keyword research tools. Obviously, finding the core terms, researching those terms for specific phrases. But once we have, kind of an idea of what the topic is going to be for a page, then we get into looking at related keywords and using. There's a few different tools that we dive into. Thesaurus is one. I know we can go back to a number of different Google tools. To give us some of those related words to help flesh out the topics a little bit. But other than using the Google keyword tool, the Moz keyword tool, word tracker, those are our primary sources for information. And just using Google itself, you do a search for a keyword topic in there, and you look at the results, and you see what people are already writing about that are ranking, and that can be very helpful.
Okay, I got it. Actually, we just released lately the tool for keyword clustering, so I just wanted to make out if it possibly can help there, because actually it pulls the top 10 results for the pool of keywords you have and segments these keywords into relevant groups. So maybe it might be helpful for topic optimization.
Was that a question? I missed that.
Yeah, I think that was a question. But just trying to figure out if it can be helpful there or not.
Can it help?
Sorry?
I'm having trouble understanding. Are you asking, can it help?
Yeah, sure. Can it help there for topic optimization, this tool?
I think everything helps. I think the thing that we're most limited with when it comes to keyword research and topical research, all that, is time. And we have to just go, you know what, I can't spend forever researching. Eventually I got to commit and go with what I got. But there's so many different tools that all have value, and everybody's just got to choose their favorite and what works for them. But I would not be one to say any specific tool is any less valuable than another one, because it all just depends on how you want to use that.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a more question, David?
No, I was just thinking on that last one. It's interesting. I think it's still vital to remember that there is a person at the end of this content that's going out. So all these tools are great to gather the information, but I think it's still absolutely vital to have good copywriters on hand where you can, and make sure that there's good quality content coming out at the end of it. I think I've seen some smaller firms, they've been using a lot of these tools and assuming that that's the end of it. They can push this all together, it will go out and it's going to do its SEO magic. There is still the old, from the advertising of the 50s, the time it takes to write good copy should never be underestimated.
Yeah, but how many articles, how many blog articles published every day? Do we know?
I don't know, but I try to read them all.
Well, we're talking about millions, yeah. So yeah. I don't know, a million a day or something like that. Okay, even if you absolutely, sorry.
I was just going to say it's probably way more than that. I saw a statistic that there's
probably more, probably
30 million new websites a second.
Yeah. So how can you do that? Your article, whatever brilliant it is, if you're on a very small blog or something, how can you move it? Yeah,
I mean, from my experience, I still think that taking at least some of the time, building the quality into it, you're going to be ahead of the 99% of those 30 million going out every second. God, that's scary. How many of those blogs are actually being read? How many are being viewed? How many hit the search engines in any meaningful fashion? I think having these tools, understanding the topic, understanding the audience, and then actually just taking some time for the good content can pay off.
So
I misspoke. There's 30 new websites a second, not 30 million. Big difference.
Okay, so David, you think all these tools, and I guess well, now there's so many tools, keyword tools. Everyone has keyword tools. Randfish can push it for most keyword tools, and so many of them. You don't use it, David.
I do. I've been playing around with the Keyword Explorer recently, and I think it's great. I mean, especially I think Keyword Explorer, especially for the smaller businesses, it can really help save some time. But my concern is that there'll be people that are using these tools and forgetting about their end audience, believing that this is the be-all and end-all. We just use the tools. and the end message can often be forgotten. But no, I think there is real value in the tools. It just needs to be used in a meaningful fashion, in a process that includes who is the end user, what is this content, what am I trying to say, and of course hitting that searcher intent.
Yeah, Alexandra share the tool webpage, and I will share it with the rest of the public right now. Okay, anyone has a question? Christian, you were kind of very silent recently.
Oh, well, I just learned a whole bunch today, so I'm really grateful. This is a great presentation. You taught like some history here as well, which is always important to understanding where we are today and how we're going to go forward. I agree with David with your point about like the best tool is what you're writing, and I would even take that a step forward. Like, you can write wonderful copy, but you still need to have a good product. You need to have something that's going to be useful for the people. So yeah, I love this conversation. Be playing it again.
Well, and I think people get lulled into this false sense of security with these keyword tools. You have to remember that these are not predictive, these are reactive. Yeah. So, for example, I was just working with a client who's got a whole new group of jobs focused around machine learning and deep learning. And that being such a new concept, there's really no volume for deep learning jobs. Even though if you go out on Career Builder or Indeed or something like that, you see hundreds of them. So there's a market for it. It's just that the keyword tools haven't caught up yet.
Yeah. Anybody has more questions, more thoughts about anything, or any obsolete tactics, anything?
I'll just throw out a question. So you just mentioned machine learning, Stoney. What do you think about about machine learning and all that? Like, does it fit anywhere in with what you're doing? There's like so much talk about, and I don't want to say RB, so I'll just say RB. But like, I know I'm gonna like start fights somewhere in the world.
I'll say this. I've seen enough sci-fi movies to know it all turns out badly. So I'm really scared about it. Although at the same time, it's pretty darn cool. I don't know how much that changes a lot of what we do. Because there has to be information out there for the machines to learn from and to provide what people are looking for. And everything changes no matter what. And I just don't ever think it's as, we always get worried about what's the next step. It's usually more gradual, and we evolve with it. That we have, we don't necessarily have to worry about what the next thing is going to be. It's going to kind of sneak up on us, and we're already going to be in the midst of it, and we're already going to be doing what we need to be doing for it. So you just kind of keep up on what's going on and keep rolling with stuff.
Well, and I think if anything, if you're doing the right things, these continued advancements by Google just make your job easier. In my opinion, they don't make it harder, they make it easier. Because, I mean, you just look at what Stoney was saying about exact match keywords. We don't have to do that anymore. It makes our job easier. We can speak in more natural, or write in more natural language, and it's easier to be topically relevant.
So semantics come into play.
Yeah.
Yeah, but natural language, we don't really know how artificial or rank brain or whatever being has understand natural language, because natural language is much more complicated. Yeah, say get out of here. Yeah, it could be a few minutes, isn't it? And well, as what I read, artificial or rank brain still understand a language, natural language, like I don't know, like 4 years old. Or 5 years old is what they said, Google, no?
Oh, and they'll never totally catch up. I mean, I am reminded of that every day. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I say things like, if you do that, you're dead meat. And they want me to explain that. You know? Well, I don't really know how to explain that. But there's so many things that we say in a regular day that are colloquialisms or slang that a machine is not going to be able to figure out.
Yeah, well, also, like, with how interconnected we're getting, like, from one nation to another, like, we're still building language, really.
Right.
Yeah, really cool.
Okay, guys, I don't know. Do we have more questions? Do we have more questions to Stoney?
I was just going to add one more comment to that. I'm just waiting for the machines to get smart enough that I can find my keys in my house.
Oh.
You know, or the remote, whatever. Just get me to that point where I don't have to look for anything anymore.
What I really want is for my navigation system to be able to tell that I'm going to the same place that I go every day without me having to put it into the system and say, there's an accident on I-540.
Right.
Yesterday, that would have been really helpful. I take my kid the same place every Wednesday afternoon, and darned if Google couldn't have told me that there was an accident.
I don't think that's too far off.
No.
I mean,
You know,
Please, please.
every time I get in my truck, Apple tells me what the traffic is like to get home.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
But I guess if Google or Tesla will go ahead pretty well as they do, soon we don't have to drive. We just put the kids in a self-driving car and tell them just get out of here. Okay.
Stick your thumb to the to the keypad and.
But some of these things really scare me. I remember we were talking with Google, and Andrei Lipasov says that sooner or later, probably rather sooner, we'll have a smart fridge. Fridge would tell you that you need to buy milk, and fridge would know which kind of milk you buy, and all those kind of things. Well, I don't know. Anyone wants to smart fridge?
Yeah. I tell you, I've heard that since late 90s, early 2000s, how it would measure the weight of the fridge shelf, it would read barcodes going in and out. It's been something that's been talked about for so long, and whether it's actually going to ever come to full realization, I don't know.
I think now the technology is there. It's basically it's almost possible. Maybe tomorrow it will be possible. The question is, my question is, do we want it? I don't want a fridge which would tell me what to do.
I don't think we're ready for that yet. I think the technology is there that it could be done, but I don't think the majority of people have that much of an interest at the moment. Or maybe just awareness.
Yeah, okay, somebody asking when we're finished. We're about to finish, Jenny. So if we don't have more questions or comments, we'll start to say thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Stoney deGeyter, for very interesting stuff you told us today. Stoney, you managed to sit like you made of stone, actually. So you're not really moving on my screen. That's incredible. Yeah, it's absolutely okay. It was absolutely awesome webinar. Thank you very much, and I hope we can do it one day again, with some different stuff. Okay.
Another question.
Yeah, go.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, if nobody minds hanging out, I had a question for you based on the idea of link sculpting and link architecture. I was having this debate with another SEO yesterday. The question is, if you have a site that has been designed without much thought to the architecture, to the underlying architecture, is it better to just start over and re-architect the site and do all your 301 redirects and everything? Or is it better to get the navigation and the actual link structure in order, even though the folders may not line up quite correctly?
I don't know if there's a right answer to that.
Like I said, it was a long debate.
Yeah, it just, a lot of it goes into how bad everything is. One of my things is, when rolling out a new website. I want anything that is going to cause major changes later, like with the algorithms. I want that done up front. And what I mean by that is like URLs. I want the URLs to be the settled URLs because I don't want to roll out a site, do all my redirections, and then have to go back, change my URLs, and do all the redirections again.
But assuming you're not able to design a new site, you're working with what you've got.
I mean, if you're working with what you got, just get it out there and deal with the consequences later. You know, there's so much that has to be done, especially in web architecture, that if you wait until it's finished, you'll never get the site rolled out. In fact, I've got a client that we just rolled out a website, and we told him, you know, it's going to be rolled out and, you know, search engine friendly. We rolled it out, and he said, let's go with web marketing. And we said, okay, here's a tutorial for adding new products in the future. And he's like, oh, hold the phone. Why didn't I get this earlier? You know, before we started doing the promotion. And it's like, because we weren't doing the marketing. We were doing the building. We were getting the architecture, and we can't stop doing the marketing before the marketing's done. You know, it's like he wanted them both. You get the marketing done before we start the marketing. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's a process, and you get it done as well as you can. And at some point, you just got to pull the trigger, get it out there, and then just keep working on it as you go.
Well, I completely agree with that. I guess the debate was really more of you have a client that they've already got an existing site. They have either they have a fairly decent navigation or a fairly decent structure with a crappy navigation. Either way, you're going to be doing either some changes to inbound links, not inbound links, internal links, or you're going to be doing a series of 301 redirects. And so kind of the question was, which is better, to take the hit for the tiny little hit for the 301 redirects and have everything clean, or to just try to clean it up in the navigation in terms of where things point to?
Yeah, I mean, I think you go with where the least impact is going to be. You know, 301 redirects aren't a huge deal. It's just a pain in the butt sometimes. But, you know, you can always go back and tidy it up and do what you got to do.
Anybody else have a thought on
Probably
this
not that helpful to this debate.
Talking about this, like, it makes me think of this question that's coming up over in the dojo. And it seems to be kind of split. Like, say you have a site and, like, it's, like, they've already screwed it up, and then, like, you hand it over to someone. Like, can someone recover with that site? Or does Google, like, just already, or any search engine, I don't want to just be Googleified, can, like, the search engine, like, would the search engines just not trust those links? Is it, like, dead in the water? Is it, like, can't someone still do something useful with it? Like what you were talking about, like you working with what you have.
Yeah, I think Google has made it so you can recover from just about anything.
Yeah. That's what I said.
You know, it's got to be pretty egregious at this point, you know, to warrant burning a site down and starting over with a new URL. And I think they deliberately realize that, you know, some people make mistakes. You got to be able to come back from that. It may take a while, but I think you can come back.
Is there any kind of, like, estimation, like, for time-wise? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree with that, but Bryson Munier said, I hope I'm getting his name right, said something that just really stuck with me. He said, if you're running a race and with your competitors and you fall down and you get right back up and keep running, you may still lose. You may not be able to catch your competitor. So stumbling while you can get back, and I think Google makes it easier than they used to get back, unless of course you're hit by penguin, which I don't want to talk about. But you may never catch that competitor. They may be so far out ahead of you that you won't catch them.
Probably kind of a novice question, because I am a novice. Way novice. But like when I hear people talk about competitors, like I always kind of think like, well, do you have to be competitive, or can you just try to provide value? And if you're providing value to a niche audience, then you're not really competing. You're building your own space. Is that novice?
That's the best way to compete, is to build your own space. You know, find your niche, build on that, and you know, go with it. Ultimately, everybody's a competitor because you're fighting for the same amount of infinite time or finite time that people have to be on the web and what they're looking for and building what they're interested in, things like that. So everything is a competition. It's just a matter of playing the game smartly.
I think it's good to have awareness of the competitors, especially when you're looking at search ranking. You know, see who's there, see who's coming up as well. But yeah, I think to concentrate on that end audience and to give that value is a great way to think about it.
So I guess like when you're competing to get like a contract, that's probably when it comes into play, when you need to provide like statistics to whoever you're trying to get that contract with, right? Like if like someone's trying to hire someone to do their SEO. Hi, Musa.
Okay, Musa has to go. He is leaving. Thank you, Musa, for coming. So Musa Hemani from Pakistan, and Musa Hemani, most search engine everywhere, and his own blog, C-Talk. Okay, I don't know if we're probably gonna finish it more or less. So I'll start to say thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stoney, for awesome.
Thank you, Stoney. Great
awesome.
presentation.
Yeah, great presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad you guys enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you, Musa, for coming. Thank you. Up. Okay, Musa's gone. Thank you, Christine. Okay, Christine was late, so I'll just introduce you to Christine Drisdale. Christine Drisdale. Well, Christine, you've been restored to permanent status.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well,
Christine,
yeah, I just don't have page control anymore.
Christine Drisdale is a permanent member of Bill and Amon's Hangout, Bill Slavsky and Amon Jones Hangout. So if somebody wants to get invited there, well, you might talk to Christine.
Oh yeah, and Terry says hi, Stoney.
Yeah. Okay. So we have Jenny Hallas with us today. We already had her here with her brilliant presentation before. We had first time we had David Sois from London, England today, and we have Alexander from a startup tool. Alexander, don't be discouraged. Everybody says, every guru says they hate tools. Every guru said content is a king, but everybody uses it. So yeah, so you have your opportunity. Just push ahead with your things. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. So we're going off air in a second. If you want to say, "Mom, hi, Mom, I'm on a telly," you can do that. You can do that.